Assalamualaikum. My name is Ashraf. My normal metric is 121 2 and I'm going to present about the hazard identification. So basically, in this presentation, I'm going to talk about the introduction to hierarchy, hazard identification, and the conclusion that we can conclude from both of the topics. So first, we go to the definition of hierarchy. So basically, what is hierarchy? Hierarchy stands for hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control. It is a systematic approach used to manage workplace hazards and ensure the safety and health of employees. So basically, we can see indirectly this hierarchy is very important. So we move to the importance of hierarchy. What's so important of hierarchy? So basically, the first one we can see to preventing accident and injuries. Identifying hazards allows for the implementation of control measures to prevent accidents, injuries, and illness. This proactive approach reduces the likelihood of incidents that could harm individuals and disrupt operations. And the next one, we can see the importance of HERA is compliance with regulations. So basically, many industries are subject to safety regulations and standards. Effective hazard identification helps to organizations comply with legal and regulatory requirements, avoiding fines and penalties and potential legal liabilities. So the next one, we can see to enhancing workplace safety culture, of course, because regularly uh, hazard identification and risk assessment foster a culture of safety within organizations. When employees see that management is committed to their safety, it it encourages them to be more vigilant and engage in safety practices. So there is one to reducing financial costs because accidents and injuries can lead to significant financial costs, which is including medical expenses, workers, compensations, claims, lost productivity, of course, and of course potential legal fees. Identifying and may, uh, mitigating hazards can save organizations money by preventing these cost incidents. So the next one of course to improving operational efficiency. A safe working environment this minimize disruptions caused by accidents or unsafe conditions. This leads to more consistent and efficient operations as employees can perform their tasks without unnecessary risk or interruptions. uh, and then we can see that this can protect reputation because organizations that prioritize safety and efficiency manage hazards enhance their reputation among employees, customers, clients, and also the public. A good safety record can be a competitive advantage and promote trust and confidence, of course, in the organization's commitment to health and safety. And lastly, we can see the importance of Iraq is supporting preparedness, which is hazard identification help in planning and preparing for emergencies. By understanding potential hazards, organizations can develop effective emergency response plans and ensure they are better prepared to handle unexpected situation. This is very important in any organization to operate something. So the next one, we can see the objectives of hierarchy. So basically, we can see for the first objective to identify and understand hazards, which is systematically identify potential hazard in the workplace. This involves recognizing sources of harm, understanding how and why they could cause injury and or damage, and also documenting these hazards for further analysis. And then we can see the objective also to evaluate risk, which is to assess to risks associated with identified hazards. This involves analyzing to likelihood and severity of potential adverse events resulting from the hazards. The goal is to prioritize risks based on their potential impact and frequency of occurrence, and also implement effective risk control, which is to develop and implement appropriate measures to to eliminate or minimize the risk. This can include engineering controls, administrative controls, personal protective equipment, and other strategies to reduce exposure to hazards. And then that's why we can see to enhance workplace safety and health, which is to create a safer and healthier work environment by systematically managing hazards and risks. So basically, this objective aims to prevent accidents, injuries, and illness, thereby protecting employee and other stakeholder, which is I mentioned in the previous slide. And then we can see to ensure legal and regulatory compliance, which is most legal and regulatory requirements related to occupational health and safety. HIRAC helps organizations comply with safety standards and regulations, and avoiding legally penalties and fostering a culture of compliance. Therefore, you can see also it is improve. It can to improve risk awareness and communication, which is to increase awareness of hazard and risk among employees and management. And effective communication about identified risks and control measure ensures that everyone understands their role in maintaining a safe workplace, which is the environment very important. And then the next one, you can see the objective is to support continuous improvement, which is what I mean here is provide a framework for ongoing education and improvement of safety practices, which is this hierarchy promotes regular review and updating of risk assessment and control measure, which is ensuring that safety practices with changing this new information. And then lastly, we can see that facilitate emergency preparedness, which is identify potential emergency scenarios and plan appropriate responses. Okay. So the next one, we can move to the regulatory standards, which is we have five here, and then we can see first of all the regulatory standard is first occupation safety and health administration, OSHA, which is standards United States. OSHA sets and enforces standards to ensure safe and healthful working conditions. These standards cover a wide range of workplace safety topics, including hazard communication, personal protective equipment, and exposure to toxic substances. And then the next one, we have a European Agency for Safety and Health at Work, EU OSHA directives. Okay, so basically, EU OSHA provides regulations and the directives aimed at improving workplace safety and health across the European Union. These directives address issues like workplace risk assessment, chemical safety, and also the very important machinery safety. All right, so the next one basically we have Health and Safety Executive (HSE) regulations, which is in United Kingdom. Basically, the HSE enforces health and safety also regulation in the UK, including the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974 and various regulation on specific hazards such as asbestos, radiation, and hazardous substances. And then the next one, we have a Canadian Center for Occupational Health and Safety, CCOHS regulations, which is CCOHS provide guidelines and regulation for workplace safety in Canada, including standards of hazardous materials, workplace ergonomics, and also occupational disease. So And then lastly, we have the example from regulatory standards is International Labour Organization (ILO) conventions, which is the ILO. ILO sets international labour standards, including conventions on occupational safety and health, which is to promote safe and health working conditional in globally. Okay, so basically, this organization focusing the safety here are very more wide than the previous organization. And then next one we go to the industry standards. So here we have six industry that we can see here. Okay, so the first one we can see is ISO 45001, which is Occupational Health and Safety Management Systems, which is in this industry. This international standard provides a framework for organization to manage risk and improve safety and health at work. It helps organization also in reducing workplace incidents and ensuring compliance with regulations. So the next one we can see here is ANSI or ASSE Z10, which is occupational health and safety management system also in United States, which is in this standards. It is developed by the American National Standards Institute, which is an NSI, and the American Society of Safety Engineer, which is ASSE. This standard provides guidelines for implementing a comprehensive health and safety management system. Okay, the next one we have NFPA standard, which is National Fire Protection Association. Okay, in this standard, NFPA develops codes and standards to reduce the risk of fire and other hazards. So these standards cover areas such as electrical safety, fire protection systems, and also hazardous materials. And then we have the API standards, which is American Petroleum Institute. Wow, this is interesting because these API standards ensure safety, reliability, and sustainability in the oil and gas industry. They cover various aspects, which is including equipment, uh, and operational procedures and safety practices. And for the next one, we have CSA standards, which is Canadian Standards Association, which is the CSA group develops standards for safety and performance in various industry, which is including electrical safety, construction, and healthcare. And then the next one, we have OSHA's Process Safety Management (PSM) standard, which is in these standards focuses on preventing the release of hazardous chemicals in workplace, particularly in industries such as chemical manufacturing, oil and gas, and also pharmaceuticals. All right. For the next chapter, we're going to see in the hazard identification specifically. So first of all, what is the hazard identification? So basically, hazard identification is a systematic process used to recognize and evaluate potential source of harm or adverse effects in a particular environment or situation. It is a fundamental step in risk management and safety planning. So basically, we can see from the definition, we can see three points here, which is the first one. Hazard identification is to recognizing potential hazards, which is this involves identifying and cataloging any elements, activities, or condition that could potentially cause injury, illness, or damage. Hazards can be physical, chemical, biological, or ergonomic or psychosocial. Okay, basically, uh, hazard identification also is assessing exposure and impact, which is evaluating how individuals or groups might be exposed to the identified uh, hazards, and determining the potential impacts on health, safety, and well-being. This include considering the likelihood or occurrence and the severity or the consequences. And then hazard identification also is implementing control measures, which is based on identified hazard and their assessed risk. Appropriate control measures are put in place to eliminate or minimize the risk. This may involve engineering controls, administrative controls, personal protective equipment (PPE), and other safety procedures. So we move to the next subtopic, which is what are the types of hazard. So basically, there are more types of hazard, but in this presentation, I only provide three types of hazard, which is the first one physical, second chemical, and also the lastly but not least is biological hazards. So basically, for the first one, physical hazards, these involve environmental factors that can cause harm without necessarily touching a person. For example, the first we can include noise, which is excessive noise levels can cause hearing loss. And then the second one, we have radiation, which is exposure to ionizing, for example, like X-rays, or non-ionizing, which is, for example, um, microwaves radiation. Okay, and the next one, for example, we can see also for the temperature extremes, which is the first one. We can see very hot or very cold environments. Also, very cold environment can include in the physical hazards. Okay, okay, and then we can see the vibration. For example, in this physical hazard, which is continuous exposure to vibration, which can affect health and safety. Okay. For the next one is chemical hazard, which is these involve substances that can cause harm due to their chemical nature. For example, we can include here is the first one is toxic chemical substances, which is can cause poisoning or other health effects. And then we can see here also flammable and combustible materials, which is substances that can catch fire or explode. And then we can see here also, for example, in corrosives, which is chemical that can damage tissues or materials on contact. Okay, so the next, for example, you can see here is carcinogens. Okay, because substances known to cause cancer, carcinogens. Okay, so very very careful with this chemical. And then we can see here for the lastly here is biological hazards, which is these involve exposure to harmful biological agents. For example, include viruses such as influenza or COVID-19, and also example in biological here is bacteria such as E. coli or salmonella, and then fungi and also parasites. So basically, the last topic here we can see is to cover the tools and techniques. So basically here, the first one, we have many tools or techniques in this hazard identification, but basically I will provide seven tools. Okay, but the first one we can see here is seven safety audits and inspections, which is in these tools, it is regular inspections, which is a routine check of equipment, process, and work across to identify hazards. And then the next one is safety audits, which is to comprehensive evaluation of an organization safety policies, procedures, and practices. And then the next one we can see here, the second tools is job safety analysis and analysis, JSA, or job hazard analysis, JHA, which is in these tools step by step breakdown, analyzing each step of job to identify potential hazards. And then the next step in these tools is risk evaluation, which is assessing the risk associated with each identified hazard from the first step. Then the third one tools in here is hazard and operability study HAZOP, which is in this step or in these tools structure method. The first step which is a detailed and systematic technique for examining a complex process and operations. And then the second one is guide work, which is in this step using specific guide words such as more, less, or none to explore deviation from normal operations. And then the next tool we can see here is or failure modes and effects analysis, which is FMEA, which is the first step in this tool is failure identification, which is identify potential failure modes within the system. And then the second step is impact analysis, which is assessing the effects of each failure mode on system performance and safety. Okay, and then the next one we can see here is fault tree analysis in the fifth tools you can see here. So basically in the first step for this tool is logical diagram, which is creating a graphical representation of the pathways leading to a potential failure or hazard. Okay, and then the next step in this method is root cause identification, which is in this step we will identify the root causes of hazard through logical connections. And then the next one we can see what if analysis, which is in this tools scenario exploration considering various what if scenarios to identify potential hazards. And then we can see the next step in this tool is brainstorming, which is involving teams to brainstorm possible deviation and their consequences. And lastly, we have a checklist. So basically, from all the topics that we have covered, we can come into the conclusion, which is the last topic, which is effective hazard identification is essential for creating a safe and healthy workplace by systematically recognizing and addressing potential hazards. So, organizations can prevent accidents, ensure regulatory compliance, and foster a proactive safety culture. These benefits we can get from the effective, only from the effective hazard identification. So basically, prioritizing hazard identification not only protects employees but also enhances operational efficiency and contributes to long-term success. So I want to invite all the listener here to let's together commit to continuous improvement and vigilance in our safety practices for a safer and more productive environment. That's all from me. Thank you.